Good morning. Welcome to Enduro 360. It's a little after 6 o'clock and this is kind of a typical morning for me. I got my coffee out. What have I got here? Ooh, what is that? Ooh, that's the what Enduro was. Oh, Bad Mountain Enduro. Let's see, there we go. Drinking a little coffee, working on the website. This is kind of my typical morning. I got lots of writing I should be doing, but few distractions today. Let's go take a look. Hey Misha, say hi to everybody. Mish. There you are. Let's see. Oh well, there's my 450 dual sport bike. It's in the process of getting a new 525 motor. As you can see, I got stuff spread all over the garage. There's what used to be a 525. It's now just a bunch of donor parts going up for sale. But what we got out here? Well, of course, we got our 350 EXC. Ooh, but look what we got right next to it. 2013 Husaberg FE350. Just got the first ride in on that, so let me get this unloaded and cleaned up, and we'll talk just a little bit about it. Okay, let's talk 2013 FE350. These new Husabergs have been some of the most anticipated models of the year, and I'm so excited to have one finally. And it's a 350, which if you followed it all, I'm pretty much in love with these things. And you know, I have to say one of the things people kind of ask me is, why do I like the 350 so much? And this becomes even more important when we talk about Husabergs, because there will be no 450 Husaberg model for the US this year. It's 350 or 500. So now you really have to make a choice. For me, the 350 is just, you know, I call it a rider's motorcycle. The harder you push it, the more you just take it right to the limit, the better it makes you look as a rider, the better it responds. I can get away with things on these bikes that, you know, most big four-strokes would probably spit me off if I tried to do. So it's, you know, it's almost kind of two-stroke in the sense that it's very forgiving chassis-wise when you push it right to the very limits. And it just, you ride it wide open and it's a blast. Okay, so hey, what's unique about the Husaberg here? Is it really just a blue and yellow KTM? Well, you know, in many ways it actually is. Obviously the bodywork is completely different. There are definitely some unique things about the Husaberg model. But when we get right down to the brass tacks, I mean, let's talk about that motor, the fuel injection, all of the components. Really, you know, the one thing that is significantly different than what's available on the KTM model is the suspension. And we'll get to that. But let's take a look. Okay, so it's all brand new bodywork. Again, kind of Husaberg inspired here. It's got its own front fender, slightly different headlight and mask. It gets the nice handguards, but in white. Blue wheels. They look really pretty right here, but you know, they're not going to hold up, keep their look as well or as long as the silver ones do. I got my own shadow going here. Unique bodywork. The airbox cover is slightly different. We'll pull that off in a second. It's a 2-bolt seat pattern. The bolt is actually right down in there. Of course, the seat very seldom has to come off because of the side access airbox. Got the nice side stand, foot peg, shift lever, all KTM spec stuff here. And of course that means it's all good stuff. This has got the XCW style lighting package on it. Got our spark arrestor silencer. You know, and this stock exhaust system on this bike actually works really well. We found that on our 350 EXC KTM that we're currently testing. Brakes. You will notice this comes without a Kickstarter. Obviously you could add it back in there if you chose to, but that's a little more weight savings. It does come with the fan, which is kind of unique because the KTM 350s do not come stock with the fan. It's got the same 6.9 spring on there as the 350 XCW. And we got our standard KTM package up here on the bars. I gotta check this bar bend. It feels a little bit different. I'll have to check that number. It feels like it has maybe just a little more sweep than the KTM bar, but I'm probably just guessing on that one. And then of course up front we've got this brand new WP 4-chamber fork, and that's really one of the biggest things we have to talk about here. Okay, so I've had one day out riding this thing so far, and it was really good. We rode out Vet Motocross track at Paula, and I had our 350 EXC there to ride back to back with it. This bike is definitely, the first thing is, if you couldn't look down at it, yeah, it more or less just feels like a 350 KTM. It feels very much like the exact same bike, with the exception of the suspension. Up front, this 4-chamber fork, we've posted a picture of some of the exploded views on this, but there's very little information really out on them yet. There's no service manuals. We actually talked to KTM about going up there and doing a day, doing some video where they tear one apart, and hopefully we're going to get that together pretty soon. In general, this new fork system acts fairly similar to a twin-chamber fork. And the reason I say that is, particularly on the motocross track, you can feel it do different things over different obstacles. It's actually, it kind of has a low speed mode and a high speed mode. And we're splitting hairs when we're really trying to define the differences. Suffice it to say, it works very well. This is sprung relatively stiff. It's quite a bit stiffer than our 350 EXC is. It's got a heavier spring rate in it. So far, so good. As soon as we get off-road, we will definitely have some better ideas of it. Kind of unique. Up here on the fork caps, you can see that it's compression adjustment on one side, rebound adjustment on the other side. Now, what they tell me is they aren't totally separated. It has compression and rebound in both legs, but you're only adjusting them in one leg. You can also see this bike comes stock with the machine triple clamps versus the cast clamps that are on our KTM equivalent models. So I like the fork. I gotta get a little more time on it to really understand it better, but it looks like it's got a lot of potential in it. Our shock is really interesting in that this is completely different valving from any of the KTM models, and it rides significantly different. Unlike most PDS shock bikes, particularly ones with a light spring like this 6.9, this thing rides really high in the stroke. It should feel totally choppered out with my 200-pound weight on it, and yet it feels like it's 2 full spring rates stiffer than what that spring is on there. So it has a lot of valving in it. The good part is it's got really good bottoming resistance. It tends to be just a little bit stink bug feeling, meaning it's high in the rear end. Again, totally unlike what a PDS bike with this light of shock should feel on it. I just rode the bike, tried to get as many laps in as possible without doing any adjustments. So far we haven't touched a clicker, just rode it the way it was. And it was good. I could charge around the motocross track really hard on this bike. Again, one day, one scenario, that's not all telling. So now we're anxious to get it going off-road. We're going to go find some real single-track trail to hammer this thing on. But so far, I'm impressed. I like this Husaberg. It's a green sticker bike with the XCW style mapping. So it's just a little more aggressive than our EXC is. And obviously it's quite a few pounds lighter between removing the Kickstarter and the rest of, the turn signal, street legal kind of gear. It'll be interesting to see what this thing is on the scales, but it's got to be, it's got to be close to 10 pounds lighter than our EXC is, and that's a good thing. So there we go. Very excited to spend more time with the new Husaberg FE350. Stay tuned as we bring you all the updates on it. All right, hey, this is Chili signing out. We will talk to you soon.